Let's hop into it. So this is the lower bracket matchup. It's Overseeker versus Kergin. I did write up the recent elos here in the scoreboard. Checked it earlier today, so they should be roughly around where they are at. As per the rules, it is random save for the first game, will be reversed for the next one, and no villager fighting before minute 5, as per the rules is for this tournament. So Kergin finding a decent TC spot here, also capturing a sheep, or rather goat, to scout the map here. And let's see where Overseeker's position is. Starting to drop it now as well, 2 villagers to build it. No dock just yet. And yeah, could be having some plans behind it. Is students after all here, Overseeker? You could get by with those cheaper farms, but you really want that dock up early on anyway. Because with the cheaper farms, you could justify keeping both farm and fish eco going, saving the wood needed for farms for later, and just keeping the farms as a last resort to, in case you lose the fish, you have an easy transition to get back into food eco with farms. Good starting spot for Overseeker though, with the Teutons here. Has a boar, has gold, has a woodline, and is somewhat close to the shoreline here, so that could be the reasoning behind it, wanting to drop a dock after the TC is up and start fishing in the south here. But I will note that for Nomad, there is so much food to be taken on the waters, you you can't ignore water on Nomad. You want that fishing come early on, otherwise you'll fall back early in the villagers' production. From the looks of it though, Kergin is taking some shorefish up here. TC is up for both players and they've started producing villagers, so no upsets thus far between the players. And I did jinx Overseeker a little bit there because they forgot to drop the first house. Also doesn't have a dock, so once Kergin starts producing fishing ships up here, the eco difference is just going to be showing really quickly here. Let's just toggle their point of views and fast forward a little bit. Maybe keep it on Overseeker just to see if they dock as the game goes on here. Boar is safely under the TC, so that's going to be easy to take here for Overseeker. But look at this. Already 2 villagers difference, and Kergin is producing another fishing ship. So Kergin is going to be in such a great spot here. Moving forward, simply because of having some free fish eco and water. I mean, if Overseeker doesn't dock at all, I don't see Overseeker doing good in this game, but here comes the villager. I think the dock is going to go up finally now. There we go. That's a decent dock placement, not near a shorefish, so Overseeker means to send this guy back to work for sure. And going for some hunt here, maybe thinking that the dock could be to drop off food as well, but tasks a few more villagers to bring the hunt here, so at least getting a boost of the food income. Here comes a mill and a house as well, remembering the house this time, so it won't be significantly housed before reaching 15 pop here. It is a lead for Kergin though. Let's look at the actual villager numbers here. 15 for Overseeker, 15 for Kergin, but 3 fish. So that's a massive, massive food lead already for Kergin. Just look at food count, very close to that feudal click already, just missing the second building and a little bit of food now. And making use of that Goth's instant bloom to take a longboard lure here. Feudal Age should be right around the corner once the mining camp is up. Kergin here could go for the Feudal Age, and there we go. So both players producing fish. But alas for Overseeker, falling behind in these numbers simply due to the fact that Kergin built the dock right away and prioritized it. Okay, 4 on gold could suggest water action here, but it could also suggest wanting to drop a barracks and just go straight for that land action. Kergin is scouting very nicely with goats here, whereas Overseeker has limited knowledge. Is adding the barracks though, I like that. You have some kind of defensive capabilities against Goths here. And from Castle Age onwards, Teuton's infantry may be some of the best ones to contest Goths infantry spam, actually, because of the extra melee armor. Kergin with the early fuel age here, going for the naval attack here. Tasks back the fishing ship for some reason. That's a bit surprising, because now the fire galley is going in the far north direction. It's going to take Kergin a long time now to find Overseeker's dock down here, which is good news for Overseeker. It means that the fish will be bringing in food for a way longer than they initially would. Overseeker now going into some angry housewives on land here to start scouting a little bit and maybe just maybe deal some damage here. I'm surprised to see them not taking this war, maybe considering it to be a little bit too far away. So we see walls going up here. Goths with the barracks as well, not producing any military just yet. But certainly with an eco to allow such. 400 food, 350 gold. Could easily make lots of men-at-arms already if needed. Overseeker scouting for the enemy now. Keeping the two together, and probably a good idea if you run into any enemy villagers or anything, you could maybe get some pick-offs. Goes into men-at-arms as well. That certainly increases the damage output, and unfortunately for Overseeker, doesn't keep going here to find any blue buildings. Might now. Alright, this is bad news for Overseeker's food eco. I like the transition into farms already. Teutons have some cheap farms anyway, but losing 8 fish is also going to be really bad for your overall food eco. See the fire galley being queued, and good reaction obviously, but missing... I mean, going into that a bit earlier, you could have already had one fire galley at the ready, just in case you get attacked. We have a couple of men-at-arms here chasing the spearmen of Kergin, maybe suspecting Teuton's scouts here, and the stable is indeed up. The farm eco not looking too shabby either. Some of it within reach of fire galley range though. Meanwhile, walls are going up for Kergin here. Right hand side about to be full wall, north side nice as well. These are some decent local walls for Kergin here to keep that scouts action out. And that's probably a guessing game rather than actually knowing that there is a stable over here. 2 men-at-arms probably won't be able to break through anywhere here. And now taking out this fish here, just look at the villager numbers now. As the ships go down, it means just... Oh, never mind, it was a trade 1 for 1 there. So Kergin will have to send a new fire galley in order to contest water again here. 2 docks for Kergin though, and now producing 2 fire galleys out of 1 dock here. Producing out of both docks. They have to go the long way around. I'd actually argue that you could send 1 to the south and 1 the other way around. Just to have the potential for a surround here to make it tougher for the fishing ships to escape. Good defensive measures from Overseeker as well, going into the fire galleys, just in case any new fire galleys come their way. Now looking at the scores, I think Eco plays a role here for Kergin, and also the overall scouting, which is way larger than Overseeker's grasp of the map. Militia have, or men-at-arms have found the location of Kergin's base though, and also will now see the blacksmith market going up, which will suggest that Kergin is indeed on the way to the castlage very soon. Overseeker not too far behind 10 villagers unfortunately, but could follow suit into the castlage soon, simply because of a good farming eco on land here and mining gold near the TC. Kergin using this stray spearman to scout the enemy base, which is good usage of 1 single spear like this, and some more fire galleys are going to contest the fish eco Overseeker as well. They don't really challenge this one though, so Kergin is relying on reinforcements from home to deal with these fire galleys, or maybe isn't on patrol here, because this one is going to maybe snipe a few fish off Kergin here. Two fire galleys now going to make the end of Overseeker's fishing ships here. A little bit of awkward pathing here, but here comes that third one as well. This should be in 8 dead fishing ships for Overseeker, unfortunately. Going to take its toll on the food income here, but look at the... Let's look at the food eco here if there's any reaction. No more farms for the time being, but we have 11 farms working already. So even losing the fish now isn't that big of a deal. Only one dock for Overseeker here. We'll be losing water, but we'll be reaching Castellation not too far behind the enemy here. A surprising choice from Teutons to go archers here though. That's not really playing into the Teutons' strengths, unfortunately. And I'll explain why. They don't get crossbow, don't get arbalest, sorry, don't get arbalest. They don't get thumbring, which is very good for archers' accuracy. And then they're also missing Bracer in the Imperial Age. So it's not a viable... It's a decent unit for the Castle Age, but it's not viable past that. Of course, you'd argue as well that going into archers is a good preemptive measure against Goths' men-at-arms and infantry, even longswords. But in the Castle Age, if the Goths player gets a castle up, they can go into Huscarls, and then it's goodbye to all your archers just like that. And seeing as Kergin is the first to Castle Age now, I'd say just stop the archers initiative here, go right into knights for the Huscarls, and consider going into longswordsmen against Goths, Huscarls, and other infantry as well. Kergin is definitely winning water here now. Only one fire ship left for fire galley left for Overseeker here. No reason actually to go into war galley here. You've already won water. So in my opinion, I mean it's a good measure to take out the dock even faster and have some stronger presence on water. Fishing ship will escape here, surprisingly enough, but will not have any drop-off point once the dock goes down. Immediate second TC for Overseeker. I like it to try and catch up in villager numbers here, whereas the Goths player also is dropping a second one now on the stone to secure the stone to get to castles and to some Huscarls here. Fireship is in for Kergin, and Overseeker should most definitely cancel the fishing ships here and rely on land farm eco instead. See the fish still working a little bit here, but this one will certainly die to the fire ships, and then there won't be any place to drop off the food, so these will be idle if this dock goes down as well. Another barracks now for Kergin with the Goths here. The town center is up and allowing for 2 town center protectional builders now, and a pretty heavy commitment to stone here to get a castle up, maybe to protect this gold, and then to be able to get out Huscarls and start raiding Overseeker on land as well. Army numbers of interest here. Overseeker has more army presence on land after all. Has a few men-at-arms even, so has some response to Goths infantry here. But let's look at the eco setup here. Surprisingly enough, Kergin is very heavily on wood on gold here in terms of the resources in the bank. Could easily invest, transform some lumberjacks here into farmers and extend that food eco even further, or keep queuing fishing ships on water to make use of that wood that is stocking up here. Some Teuton knights are trying to break through here. If they are able to break through, could be looking at some damage output here on Kergin's side. But from the looks of it here, the house walls will keep the knights out here. Hey, Magnolia! It's Nomad indeed. And it's an all Nomad tourney. So first map is always Nomad, but then you'd have a set of maps to pick from home maps, like the rules coming up on the side here. So Nomad starts, but not necessarily only Nomad. Nomad is the first map and can't be reused. Oh, Overseeker gets... Kergin gets unlucky here. Isn't house walling time, so 3 Teuton, not Teutonics, 3 Teuton knights are now on the move and trying to look for some damage to raid here. Idles these farms, that's some damage output already. Men-at-arms certainly won't contribute to the fight here without any upgrades into longswords, but you see pikes being queued as well. So once the pikes run in, they have the upgrades and can stop this little forward here of Overseeker. Meanwhile, Kergin actually neglects to realize that Overseeker is still fishing over here, so that's a little bit of an oversight on water. Dock is down, Kergin now thinks, hey, I have a full water map control here. But there are, in fact, 9 fishing ships here for Overseeker, with 1 dock, pretty close to the middle eco here. So a little bit of a lapse in scouting judgment there from Kergin to not address this. This is so much free food income for Overseeker with very healthy eco overall. I'm lurking, so can't hear. Ah, okay, I see. Well, you couldn't hear me saying that then, but thanks for stopping by anyway for some Nomad action. 6 villagers putting down the cast now. That means access to Huskarls for Kergin here. And not the strongest unit actually when Overseeker is going into Knights here, so that's going to be interesting. Knights will catch up with Huskarls and take them out pretty easily, because Huskarls have high piece armor, but their melee armor isn't that special. Still a good raiding unit though, and with the unique technology for Goths, you are allowed to produce them from barracks as well. So if you have a combination of enough longswords and Huskarls, I think you could still contest the Teutons at this stage in the game. Overseeker with slightly more villagers, again not being challenged on water here by Kergin, so that's some food income that should be addressed here in my opinion. University goes up for Overseeker, might want to think about masonry for the buildings maybe, or even ballistics for the crossbows here. Actually committing to Teuton crossbows here. You don't see them too often, but it's great addition against what's now longswords and pikes of Kergin here. Kergin with most military though, that's why the military score is higher. Pikes dealing nicely with the knights here, but then we have crossbows with fletching here to try and snipe the infantry units, the trickle of infantry units here from Kergin. See Huskarl as well. Once the Huskarl numbers can increase, the archers don't stand a chance. They're going down quickly here. They're missing all of their armor as well. So they'll just melt to Huskarls here. Huskarls have high attack and high pierce armor, so you'd easily win against the crossbow one-on-one. Monastery up on the hill for Overseeker. Could of course convert infantry units, but may be thinking about the healing up his own units and picking relics. That's the cause for it. Kergin still neglecting to realize that Overseeker still has fish income. And look at Overseeker here, only now missing that 600 gold to click to the next age. And as is scary for Goths, the military numbers are ever increasing here. Barracks produce 20% faster. If you can get to the Imperial Age, you could also resource perfusion from the castle, and you'd have barracks producing an additional 100% faster. So you'd just spew out units from the barracks, but already in the castle age with the faster working barracks, there's only 3 barracks I think producing here, 4 maybe. Still, the numbers are just growing like in an ant hive here. It's 51 to 6. Couple of rams pressuring the entrance here as well, taking the production out for Overseeker. I think that's the only barracks of Overseeker. So without any barracks, won't have any good answer to this army composition here, with its Huskarls and pikemen mostly. Knights will deal with Huskarls just fine. They have roughly the same attack, but lower melee armor on the Huskarls. But with pikes in the mix, it makes it all the much harder for the Teuton to deal with it here. Villager numbers decreasing for Overseeker is now 90 to 45, twice the villager count for Kergin and triple the population. But just look at the military numbers here. Unfortunately, they just can't be any way back for Overseeker here. He calls GG, and we will be having Overseeker's home map next. So overall high score for Kergin here. Plays the Goths like they should be here. Infantry spam. 90 to 37 KD and largest army by far. And then we have the food, wood, stone, everything more collected here. Uptime's not that dissimilar, and I think Overseeker could have been even earlier as well, going into an earlier dock on Nomad. And then Villager High for Kergin in the end. Let's see, was it only one TC? Two TCs in the end for Kergin, but yeah, enough to keep that Villager lead. And finally, the army numbers just so much larger for Kergin in the end.